Well, welcome back, folks. We are off and running now. We're in section 1-2. I hope 1-1 went well for you. If it didn't, let's start thinking about what we can do differently so that, the rest of this does go well. I want to start out with a little joke here. We had, yesterday we were talking about rational numbers and real numbers, and here you go. You have I, which is not a real number, but a rational number, and you have pi, which is not, which is a real number, but not rational. And so here's just a kind of little joke, and right at the bottom it says, math jokes. If you get them, you probably don't have any friends. That's kind of funny. I have a lot of friends, and I also get math jokes, so don't be offended by that, I hope. When we're looking at this stuff here, the first vocab word we have today is power. And powers essentially mean this. If we take something like 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, see, that's 5 4s. We could write that in shorthand as 4 to the 5th power. And so the power here is the 5. A variable, that's a letter that can take the place of a number. So if we said to you, x equals 5, and then what is 2 times x, you would say, well, that's 2 times 5, because we replaced the variable, that letter there, with a number. The term, there's a lot of different ways to do that. The official definition of term is an expression that can be written as a sum. The parts added together are called the terms. So if you had something like this, 2x plus 3y, 2x and 3y would be the terms. A coefficient is the number in front of the variable. So if I said 4x, the coefficient would be 4. And the identity would be a statement saying like 2x plus 7 equals 4x minus 3. That's the identity. These things are equal to each other, so that makes it the identity. I wonder how much of this I can get to move all at once. There you go. Order of operations. I hope you guys have heard of, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And that's parentheses, if you remember. And then exponents, then multiplication, then division, then addition, then subtraction. Or PEMDAS, maybe you heard it as. Same thing here, order of operations. First do the operations that occur within parentheses. Next, evaluate any exponents you have. Maybe my pen is too big. Let's see if I can make it a little smaller. There's a little better. Exponents. Then you do your multiplication and division from left to right. And finally, you do your addition and subtraction from left to right as well. Alright. I found a little better joke than my last joke here. This one here is 2 stupid chickens. How do I get to the other side of the road? And then the other stupid chicken over here, you are on the other side of the road, he says. So I thought that was pretty funny. Evaluate this when y is -5. So the variable here is y. So every time I see a y, I put in a -5. Alright? And if I put in a -5 in all those places, -5 squared was 25. And -5 is still right here. So I did exponents next, right? Now I can, or I evaluated the power, I guess. I substituted in. Now I can do all my multiplication. -6 times 25 is -150. And then this is going to be a plus minus. Remember last section I said there's no such thing as subtraction anymore. We're going to be adding negatives. So I'm going to turn that to a plus minus. Negative 11 times negative 5. Negative times a negative makes a positive 55. And then I add all of those things together, and I get negative 61. All right, you go ahead and do these checkpoints. Pause and take a moment to do these checkpoints and see how you do. And actually pause. So those of you who aren't pausing right now, pause. Pause. It's the button that looks like this. All right. Okay, welcome back. I hope you paused there. Hope you got a 5 on this one and a negative 126. If you didn't get that, try them again. And then tomorrow, make sure you come in and ask those questions. Those questions will be important. All right. Terms and coefficients. In an expression that can be written as a sum, the parts added together are called the terms. Okay? A term that has a variable is called a variable term. That's pretty simple to remember. And a part that doesn't have a variable, if it doesn't have a variable, it doesn't have a letter, then it doesn't change, and so we call it a constant. So an example of that would be like 3x squared plus 5x minus 7. Your variable terms would be the ones with the variables in them. Your constant here is the negative 7. That doesn't change. And when a term is a product of a number and a power of a variable, the number is called the coefficient of the power. All right. Next page, simplifying and by combining like terms. So when we take a look at this here, we have 11x minus 5x. Pretty simple stuff, right? We do 11 cars minus 5 cars. 11 minus 5 is 6 cars. All right. The next one, we're going to do the distributive property. Whoop, whoop. Can I get a whoop, whoop? And negative 3. Whoop, whoop. Like that. And make sure you make this a plus negative 3. So negative 3 times y is negative 3y, but negative 3 times negative 9 is positive 27. That's where I can see mistakes. We're going to group our like terms together. I got 2y minus 3y. Try to make this one a little bigger so we can see it better. 2y minus 3y and 10 plus 27. 2y minus 3y is negative y, negative 1y, and 10 plus 27 is 37. So you have an answer there. Now some of you are probably asking, why does Mr. Emeott have these apples and oranges here? Well, that's what we're dealing with on this next one. We have apples and we have oranges. The apples would be like the x's that we have here, okay? And the oranges would be like the y's. And you can't combine those because they're not like terms. You can't combine apples and oranges. If I look at my picture here, I have 6 apples plus 6 oranges. Let's use an R for oranges so it doesn't look like 60. 6 apples plus 6 oranges, and that's it. You got to stop right there. You can't combine them. You couldn't come up with 12 apple oranges. You wouldn't have 12 of those things right there. That wouldn't make any sense. You couldn't have 12 apple oranges, right? So this nonsensical, you know that doesn't make sense. We have to make sure we use our common sense when we're doing algebra, though. Okay? So let's take back a look over here. Combine your like terms. The x's go with the x's. I have 14 x's plus 5 x's. And I have negative 6 y's plus 13 y's. And if I combine my like terms, I have 19 x's plus 7 y's, and they don't go together. You stop right there. That's it. Okay? You go ahead and do those checkpoints. Pause right now. Hit that pause button on the lower left-hand corner and do these checkpoints. All right, hopefully you came up with 9n plus 8 and 7a cubed minus 6a squared. I hope you noticed you could not combine a cubes with a squareds. Those things don't go together. And 3x minus 57 and negative 13y plus 5x. Now, if you did not come up with those, that is an excellent thing to ask first thing tomorrow. That's a great time to ask questions. When I say at the beginning of class, hey, do you have any questions over last night? You say, ooh, Mr. Emeott, can you do checkpoint number 5 again, please? Because I didn't understand that. Or can you do checkpoint number 4? I'd be more than happy to go over it and explain it, but that is a great question for tomorrow. So if you've done everything so far, then you've finished your homework for tonight. Great job. Thanks, guys.